You must understand that failure is required. There can be no victory without a struggle attached to it. You don't deserve a victory without a failure. Failure does exactly what is necessary to make you better, to put you on the path at the right moment. And just because you fail, it doesn't mean that it's over. But when you get pushed back, you come back. You come back strong. You come back with the willingness. You come back with a purpose. Do not be afraid to fail. Failure is required. Champions cannot be champions without failures. And when that opportunity comes for you to rise up with a full heart. Don't let it confuse you. Don't let it misuse you. Don't just accept it, but understand it. What good is a victory? What good is a win if you don't fail? You gotta understand that this is what life is all about. Failure. What is it doing to you now?
When I think about the word dominate, I think about all the synonyms: to pursue, prevail, think, execute, and dominate. When I played college basketball, I sat there on the bench and I was very frustrated. Sometimes I had a bad attitude, but eventually I got my attitude together and I began to realize, you know what? If I just dominate the role my coach gives me, maybe that will position me to get promoted. So when he gave me 5 minutes, I dominated those 5 minutes, and that promoted me to 10 minutes. When I dominated for 10 minutes, that promoted me to 15 minutes. Before I knew it, I carved out a niche and I dominated. I became the top 6 man in the country. If we look around the business world, we have household names, and they're only household names because they dominate their industry. I need you to dominate every single day you go to work. If you're a company, you created a niche, your job now that you have the niche is to dominate your industry until you become a household name. I did no different when we started our speaking business. I got paid $25 in gift certificates the first time I spoke.
It's certainly something worth considering. And what is nothingness? Well, Alan Watts summed it up more than eloquently in a statement he made when he said that nothing is what your head looks like to your eyes, and that nothingness is what's watching. And I truly can't think of a better description. Nothingness and consciousness coexists in that space behind your eyes. You can't have something here without having that nothing there. So you need to be aware of that nothingness, the nothingness that lies behind your eyes, because it is within that nothingness that lies consciousness. And it's all connected. It's connected to ourselves, it's connected to each other, and it's connected to everything in the universe. You need to open your minds to see this. And once you've seen it, the more you can begin to realize it. And the more you realize it, you can quite literally feel it physically. It's like a warmth and a rise in frequency on your body. The true realization that there is no other. There is only one. And all that truly exists within that singularity is love. There are only two human emotions, love and fear. All other emotions stem either directly or indirectly from these two base emotions. But fear is an illusion created by this reality, because all that truly exists within the singularity is love. That's all there is, and love is all there can possibly be, because there is only one. There is only the singularity. So how can there be any other emotion at all? Indeed, how can there even be any concept of emotion? Within the singularity there exists only the singularity, and the singularity is love. There is nothing else.
What we've been developing is a population of emotionally weak people who perceive themselves in terms of victims. When you have challenges in life and you meet them, it brings something out of you. So, for instance, when my arthritis came, and I didn't know what else am I going to do at that time. I wanted to be a footballer. I wanted to be a footballer since I was a kid. And now my joints are swelling up, and they're telling me I'm going to have to pack it in. Now I thought, I'm not packing it in. I want to give it a go. So I went to a club called Hereford United that was a league club then. And I played the whole season with rheumatoid arthritis. Every morning when we were training and warming up for training on cold English mornings, I was in agony. And I would be limping and what have you, and the players would say, "Oh, what's wrong now, Ike?" And I would give a different excuse. "Oh, got a bit of a pull. Oh, I think I've got a bit of a blister." But actually, it was the same thing all the time. And I played the season out, and eventually it got so bad that I couldn't carry on. But it brought something out of me, this determination not to give up and not to give in. And then I decided, because when I was a kid, I was always reading newspapers, and I was very interested in journalism. So I became a journalist, and long story short, I eventually became a television presenter.
Well, very well known back then.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was a national television presenter in those days. And when I look at my life now, you see, and what I'm doing, my life before, which appeared to be a series of random events. Same with you. You've had your challenges in life. What has it done? It's made you the person you are. You wouldn't be the person you are now without them. Mm-hmm. And people say, well, I regret that. Well, the thing to regret is if you don't learn from the experience. That's the regret. But learning from the experience, well, you've had a gift. What are you regretting for? And so I went into journalism because I was very interested in that. And I eventually became this television presenter. And when you look at my life, as I was saying, all the different elements of it, including going into journalism and seeing the media for what it is, going into politics with the Green Party and seeing politics for what it is, well, I didn't know at the time, but they were all giving me very, very important understandings that will be useful later on. And then what happened is, this is a kind of bizarre story, but it happened. I was in the Green Party, and I was still working for the BBC as a television presenter, and both were leaving me completely cold. The BBC, it's not a great organisation to work for if you care about the truth and you care about more than the official version of everything. And I also was looking at the Green Party politics from the inside and seeing that it was just like every other party. And so what do I do with my life now? Because I can't go on with either of these. And what happened was a very strange thing happened, because in the early part of, what would it be, 1989, I started having this feeling that when I was in a room alone, I wasn't alone. And it's like there was an atmosphere there. There's something there. And through 1989, this got more and more and more powerful.
And to surround yourself with people who believe the same and who are rejoicing in your accomplishments and unhappy when you fail, right? And you're comparing yourself to your accomplishments of yesterday and not to someone else's today, so that you're not jealous and bitter. And you put your own house in order so that you're not cursing the world when some of its disarray might be your fault. And you're trying to pursue something meaningful, and you're doing your best to tell the truth and all of that. And then you see what happens. Who the hell are you? You think you're a miracle of some bloody bizarre sort. We've been around for 3.5 billion years. Every single one of your relatives propagated successfully. And here you are, against all possible odds, in this world of hell in some sense, and bitterness and tyranny and malevolence. And yet God only knows what's inside you, this capacity for consciousness, the capacity to confront potential and to turn it into something good. That's us, man. That's the Western story. That's the individual as the cornerstone of the state. That's our responsibility, and it really is who we are. And so we need to know that, and we need to remember it, and we need to act it out. And then maybe we can see what we can do about it, and see how good we could make things. And maybe that would be the purpose of your damn life, right? Not to be happy. It's like, there's problems to be solved. Be happy after you solve the goddamn things, right? So I learned, because I looked at dark things, that I learned that the light was more powerful than the darkness as far as that I was concerned, and that people were capable, each of us, of remarkable things, and that we need to know that that's what we are. We're this consciousness that confronts potential with all its catastrophe. That's what we are. That's what makes us in the image of God. That's what gives us our intrinsic value. And that idea that we have intrinsic value, that's the bedrock presupposition of our state. We're going to question that, or we're going to live it out. Better to live it out. Find out who you are. Thank you very much. It might be say that someone who is incapable of cruelty is a higher moral being than someone who is capable of cruelty. And I would say, and this follows Jung as well, that that's incorrect, and it's dangerously incorrect, because if you are not capable of cruelty, you are absolutely a victim to anyone who is.
Ultimately, if you're going to have lasting change in anything, you're really talking about just raising your standards. I mean, I always tell people, if you want to know how to change your life, I give it to you in 3 words, boring as it sounds: raise your standards. And what does that mean? Corny as it sounds. Raise your standards. Oh, thank you for the breakthrough thought, Tony. I'm glad I wasted my time watching this little email with you. But think about it. Lasting change is different than a goal. You don't always get your goals, but you always get your standards. Maybe it would help you is to think about it this way. I try to explain standards to people with a different set of words. Think of it as everybody in life gets their musts. They don't get their shoulds.
You can learn all the techniques in the world. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen for you.
Jot these questions down. Question number 1, what makes life valuable? Interesting philosophical question. What makes life valuable? Human life. Now that we find ourselves on this spinning planet, a chance to live a human life, what would make it valuable? Second question, what makes life worthwhile? Third question, what makes life work well? Good practical question. Now, under work well, we could put, spiritually, socially, personally, economically, physically. There's a lot of different aspects to making life work well. But that'll suffice, because those questions, I think, are very vitally important. What makes life worthwhile? What makes it valuable? What makes it work well? And all the aspects. If your life doesn't work well in some aspects, what would you fix? And I've got some good answers on that. There's usually about a half a dozen things that makes 80% of the difference. That's the formula.
You've got to focus on you. And as you convince you, as you sell yourself every day, you will begin to see a difference in the things that you're doing. Selling yourself on your ability to perform a job, to achieve a certain objective. Telling yourself every day, here I go again. And I got what it takes. This is my day, and nothing out here is going to stop me.
One thing I've learned in the last, 33 years of working with people from now over 100 countries, 4 million people, is human beings absolutely follow through on who they believe they are. Most people, if they really look at how they're living their life today, it's based on a set of standards, a set of beliefs that they made choices about 10, 20, 30 or more years ago. I mean, very often we made decisions in our youth or very young about what to believe, about what we were capable of, about who we are as a person, and that becomes the glass ceiling, if you will, that controls us.
The other thing is, take full responsibility for your life. Accept where you are and the responsibility that you're going to take yourself where you want to go. Someone said we have 2 primary choices in life. We can either accept conditions as they exist, or we can take the responsibility to change them.
So let me give you an example. Now, you said you're the king of hustle, right? But I would actually debate that. When I talk about hustle, I talk about the people who believe that you have to work an ungodly number of hours to be successful. There is a much healthier way. So there are 2 different types of people who are talking about entrepreneurship today. There's the type of people who talk about entrepreneurship purely in the physical sense. It's about the number of hours you work. It's about the number of phone calls. And of course, hard work has its place. But then you see the rise of books by people like Michael Singer, who wrote the book, The Surrender Experiment. And if you read the book, it's kind of cool. This guy built a billion-dollar software company, and he talks about how he did that by surrendering, by going within, by having a daily meditation practice. Now, in your case, I believe you're doing it. You're also moving to that approach, but you're doing it unconsciously. When I listened to you speak at A-Fest, and you spoke about how you sit down, you relax, and you thinkitate, and these ideas come into you, you're tapping into something. Tom, you're tapping into your intuition. That is a far more efficient way than trying to hustle to get these ideas. You're going within. So you're already doing one of the first steps. Now, the second part is how can you optimize your rate of going from idea to reality? That's the second part of bending reality. And there are a significant number of tools that you can put into play to help you do that by working on your inner states. For example, one is creative visualization. There are so many studies that show that what you visualize in your mind, you can help accelerate in the world. For example, one study called the finger abduction experiment basically had people exercise their fingers, okay, like physically exercising fingers, and then a control group of people visualize themselves exercising their fingers. And what they found is that one group grew finger strength by, let's say about 10%, the other group by 9%, really close, just by visualizing their fingers. Now, the same thing happens in sales. You can actually accelerate your sales closing rate by visualizing the outcome. And we don't really understand how it works, but we know it works. And the same thing happens in your entrepreneurial life. When you get a clear vision of the business you want to create, of the lifestyle you want to create, you move towards that faster. And so meditation to me is not just about going zen. It's not just about like focusing on your breathing. It's about knowing how to tap in, which you do so well, and then knowing how to get clear on what you want and to focus on that vision for a few minutes every day.
I am afraid that too many times we have put so much focus on teaching you to be good seed that we haven't taught you the power of good soil. And so when we come to soil issues, the seed ignores the soil. We flick the channel. That has nothing to do with me. We close our eyes because we have been taught to be good seed, but we have not been taught to pay attention to soil. And yet the Bible is clear. Jesus says the soil went forth sowing seed. And some fell by the wayside. Some fell amongst rocks. Some fell amongst thorns. The whole text is about environment. Look at you and look at your environment. Have you been positioned to flourish? Positioning has a lot to do with flourishing. To be in an environment, in a family that supports you. My sister and I were talking the other day. I was telling her what an amazing person she is, that all of our lives together and all the things that God did in my life, not once in all of the years that I've known her, and she was there when Mama had me, have I ever known her to be jealous of me. Not once, not ever. She has always been my cheerleader and my greatest fan. And she said, how could I be jealous of you? You're my brother. I said, a lot of people have siblings that hate them, that are jealous of them, that hope they choke. And some of my development has to be that God planted me in an environment of people that supported me. My brother, my sister, my mother, my father, they all supported me. You can have good seed, but if you've been in bad soil, people who hated you, environments that denied you, education that underserved you, communities that limited you, mentalities that poisoned you. Oh, do you hear what I'm saying? If your soil wasn't right, it doesn't mean that you're not right, but if your soil wasn't right, it's going to affect how you root and how you grow. And you might grow a little bit. The Bible says you can grow for a while, but then the thorns will choke you out, or the rocks will not have enough soil for your roots to grow. Are you blaming God for something you ought to be blaming the soil for? You cannot take a peach seed and plant it in a teaspoon of dirt and expect it to grow. though the teaspoon of the dirt is the same size as the peach seed, it will not grow. The seed will only grow when it is planted in something bigger than itself. And I want to know, where are you planted this morning? Are you planted in something bigger than you? Or have you always been planted in teacups, surrounded by little dirt, little resources, small-minded people, narrow, limited places that never let you stretch to reach your capacity? Sometimes you gotta go where the cord is.
The best place is actually our podcast. Is Quick Brain, K-W-I-K Brain. It's really my last name. I didn't change it to do what I did. It's my father's name, my grandfather's name. But this is a new venture for us. We publish a couple episodes a week, and it's really, every episode is less than 20 minutes. It's to be able to say that these are brain hacks for busy people who want to learn faster and achieve more. Everything from read a book a week to remember people's names to my top 10 favorite brain foods to how to eliminate or add new habits. That's the best place. People go to quickbrain.com and they could join a private Facebook group there and post questions for future episodes, and also download free. We give them $100 worth of brain training as a gift. Or any social media. You know, I love our social media. So anything at Jim Quick on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.
You get one shot at life. One life, and that's all you've got. And regret, in and of itself, it's worthless. It does nothing for you. In fact, the only valuable thing in regret is the lesson you learned, the knowledge that you gained. But walking around filled with regret gets you nothing. So, learn and move on. Don't let regret beat you down. Don't be a slave to regret. No. Let it teach you. Let it make you better. Let the fear of regret fuel you to take action. Today. Now. To take action now to become a better person. Filled with knowledge and strength and power and filled with life.
Some of you in this room today, you need to change your mind, because some of you are thinking about giving up because you're in a season of failure. But just because you failed doesn't mean that God doesn't have a bright future in store for you. It is always too soon to quit. I don't want to just know how to make it work. I want to know why it doesn't work. And the only way I can find that out is I got to fall on my face. But guess what? The righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up.
When you want something bad, you can't count the cost. Because if you count the cost and you see how much it costs, you might quit. You might give up. So you got to go in knowing that I don't count the cost. I do as many push-ups as it takes, as many sit-ups as it takes, as many reps as it takes. I study as long as it takes. I pay whatever the price is.
Every one of my successes is stacked on top of failures. You need to get a revelation today that the joy is not in the success. The joy is in trying. The joy is in the process. That I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep going at it.
Only those who are willing to risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go.
Failure is forming my future. Failure is just another peg in the ladder for me to go higher. Failure is part of the story. It's pushing you forward.
You just do what you got to do on this one. Then you look back when it's all over and you see the reward. You look back and you see the accomplishment. You don't count it. You just look back and you see what you succeeded.
Don't give your territory over to the enemy. Now, in order to have territory, you have to have ownership. And the problem with you is that you might own territory that you don't even realize. That God has given you certain things up under your auspices and up under your authority that you've got to be prepared to fight for. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying? And you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting time. Does anybody know what it's like to be tired? Trying to hold your head up, but you're tired. Trying to be tough, you're tired. And one by one, they all would sleep. Not just the foolish. I don't care how smart you are, you still get tired. I don't care how committed you are, you still get tired. I don't care how focused you are, you still get tired. Is there anybody here that can talk to me about tired? I don't mean the kind of tired you get at night. I mean the kind of tired where you wake up tired, go to work tired, eat your lunch tired, answer the phone tired, smiling tired, may I help you? Grinning at people, praise the Lord, and tired, and nobody knows that you are tired. Some of you don't understand why you are so tired right now, but you don't realize you're just counting your workload from what is happening right now. But you have to remember that the oil started burning when you started hoping. It didn't just start when you started doing. It started when you started believing something is about to happen in my life. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to get out of there. And all of a sudden the oil is burning. You have to burn some oil to be able to wait. The Bible said, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount upon wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. You have to be tough to wait. You have to be tough to work all day and go to school at night. You have to be tough to take 2 part-time jobs and put them together and try to make it do. Oh, y'all don't understand what I'm talking about. You have to be tough to start a service in a storefront with 2 members and the bills are higher than you got. You have to be tough. Is there anybody in here that's gone through a tough time in your life and you were waiting on a breakthrough to occur in your life? Yeah. Same place. They all were waiting. They all went to sleep. You couldn't tell who was wise and who was foolish until the cry was made. The thing you've been waiting on is coming. How you react to challenges tells whether you are wise or foolish. And you will never completely be healed or whole until you change the voice inside of your own head.
Most people are governed by their habits, their fears, and the opinions of others. A lot of people never try anything differently because they have been convinced by people in their lives that they value that they can't do it. They're living within the context of the opinions that other people have of them, the low expectations. Many people doubt themselves because when they thought about doing something at some critical point in their life, somebody they respected and honored, somebody they believed in, somebody that they loved, someone they trusted said, you can't do that. And they accepted that. As you look at your life, ask yourself the question, what would your life be like? What would your life look like if you decided not to care what people thought of you? What would your life be like if you decided to give up some of your fears? What would your life be like if you decided to become courageous? What would your life be like? If you decided to act on your dream, if you did what you felt in your heart. You know what courageous means? Tom Rusk and Randy Reed said. They said that courage comes from a French word which means of the heart. But how does it feel to you? He says it's courage, you know, it takes courage to live. He says most people go through life not allowing themselves to step out because they don't want to let go. They don't want to be blown around. They don't want to be moved. The courage to face life's whirling wind of contradictions. The courage to love yourself. The courage to love. For years, I was afraid to love. the courage to take a chance, the courage to be who you are. He says courage isn't for somebody else, for medals, applause, or moral debts. Courage is what at that moment feels most right for you. Not just situational ethics, but what feels right in your heart, the word of the heart, what feels right in your heart. One great philosopher says, cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. What does that mean? The valiant people aren't afraid? No, no, no. It means that they experience that fear and they move forward. They move forward anyhow. Many people are dead now. Many people are allowing their dreams to die. Many people are allowing their ideas to lie dormant and collect dust. Many people have all this talent and ability that they are allowing to be buried inside of them, that they will take with them to their graves because they didn't have the courage to be who they are. And I say, as you begin to look toward the future and manifesting your greatness, it's going to take everything in you, that your life deserves the concentrated effort to begin to look at how is it that I can express more of me? How is it that I can bring my ideas out here now? How is it? And start living with a sense of urgency, because you're here today, you're gone today. Life is unpredictable. It's uncertain. There are no guarantees. No guarantees out here at all. So holding back, what are you waiting on? Ask yourself, what's the benefit of your waiting? What's the benefit of your not living your dream? What's the benefit of not listening to yourself? Oh, please, listen to yourself. You know the feelings. If you start listening to the feelings in your heart, and I'm doing it now more every day, I find that my feelings, I can trust them. And I say to you that as you look toward the future, you look at life on a daily basis, if there's something that you have been given, if you've heard something within yourself that you know that what you're doing now doesn't fit for you, it doesn't work for you, it's not giving you what you want, and there's something else that you want to do, don't allow that inner doubt in you to talk you out of it, to build a case on why you can't have it, to tell you why you're not good enough. You ignore that inner voice and all of the external voices. Don't judge the possibilities for what you can do based upon the circumstances, because the circumstances won't determine who you are. Don't determine what you're able to do based upon your resources. Don't determine what's possible for you based upon where your life is right now. Where your life is right now is not you. That's just what it is right now. But the possibilities for you are unlimited. If you're in a rebuilding process, it's unlimited. If you're coming back from adversity and devastation, it's unlimited of what you can do. That's the capacity of human beings. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter how many flops you've had. It doesn't matter how much money you've lost. In fact, I see it only as an investment of what you learn from life. Not losses, but investments of what's possible for you. And I say to you that once you start listening to yourself, and as you begin to act on your dream, as you start just trying to find your way, doing what you can with what you have, you will start seeing things opening up for you. You'll start attracting people. You say, where'd they come from? Things will start coming together, clicking for you. You say, whoa. You start brainstorming. Ideas will come out of nowhere as you focus on it. The key to it is to begin to focus on what it is you want to do. Why, Les? Why is that important? Because as you focus on that which you want to do, that which we focus on, that which we give our energy to, it will begin to multiply. It will begin to expand. It will begin to develop your consciousness. And out of that comes your greatness. Out of that comes a commitment. Out of that comes a passion for life. Out of that comes a special power that you have in you that you haven't even called on yet. See, the powers that we have will never reveal themselves if we don't challenge them, if we don't put ourselves in a position where we have to use them. So one of the most important things, I was reading a book that's a really interesting book called Instant Millionaire, and the guy said, put yourself in a position where you can't retreat, where it's do or die, sink or swim. Here's what you'll find out. You'll develop incredible swimming skills. You'll find yourself stroking unlike you've ever seen before. Through the inspiration of desperation, you'll become more creative than ever before. So what is it? How do we handle that whole piece? Throw your whole self into it. See, most people go at it tentatively. They don't give all their stuff. They don't concentrate. They don't put everything they've got in them. One guy wrote a book called All You Can Do Is All You Can Do. And all you can do is enough. But he said, make sure you do all you can do. And if we're honest this evening, we know that we haven't done all we can do. So as we look at the future, we can decide that from this day forward, as I look at my personal relationships, if I look at my professional relationships, if I look at my family relationships, as I look at all the dimensions of my life, looking at myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I'm going to do all I can do to develop me, to bring my talent out here, to make a contribution to life.
Can you really see through the darkness? You are wandering and you have no idea where to go. You are wandering and you have no one to turn to. Can you see? Can you see through the darkness? Can you feel your purpose? Nothing can stop your purpose. Nothing can stop what's meant for you. Nothing around you can stop what's already yours. Your destiny belongs to you. Do you feel it? Do you understand the purpose behind the darkness? It represents something. It serves a purpose. It's an unknown purpose that many of us never would understand. Can you see through the darkness? You travel down this path. You travel down this path of the unknown, and yet you are afraid. You are afraid because you don't understand it. You are afraid because you feel empty. You are afraid because no one is there to help you. I would like to introduce you to the light, to the dawn, to the beauty, to the understanding, and knowing that this is the joy. This is the joy that you must embrace. This is the moment of happiness. Without any despair, without any rejections.
We are the revolution if we cease to conform with traditional, programmed, this is how you do it reality. All the great changes of society and changes of anything, the great visionaries, all of them have been ones that have walked out of the program and taking the shit for doing so. Because out of the program is the only way you're going to push on in terms of understanding what life is about, who we are and where we're coming from. The greatest fear in the world is the opinions of others, and the moment you are unafraid of the crowd, you are no longer a sheep. You become a lion, and a great roar rises from your heart. The roar of freedom, of being you and not someone else's version of you. Come out of the masses, stand alone like a lion and live your truth according to your own light, not someone else's version of it. Expressing our uniqueness is a revolution that will change everything, because the program depends on that not happening. It is better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. What's the point? Doing what is right, no matter what you are told, is the spirit of change. Because if you don't do that, you're just operating within the circle and nothing changes. You have to step out of the circle and do what you believe to be right rather than what you are told to do, to break out of the program, out of the circle, and thus move society forward. Oh, it's so simple, expressing our uniqueness. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. That's how you change the world. That's how you change the world. It's the only way. Ja! and you find you can fly. Doesn't mean there ain't challenges, but my God, you find your life changes and it becomes the adventure and not the chore.
Let's roll, man. This is starting to get painful. This is uncomfortable. So you sit down. You have to figure out ways, and everybody's different. That's how the book kind of talks about, like we all have these things about, 5 steps to this and 4 steps to this. It's a lot more than that. That's all bullshit. It's a practice that you have to, it's a habit. So if you know that at 40%, I'm feeling pain. At 40%, I'm feeling pain. That's where the 40% rule kicks in. Now it starts. Okay, I'm feeling pain. My mind's saying all this to me. It's saying, get out of here, run, flee. The fight or flight kicks in. Okay, we're done. We're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. You start to believe it because the mind controls all. This is the time where you have to gain control back of your mind. It's okay. Let me see if I can go 45%. And once you start giving yourself more and more hope and start realizing, okay, the mind starts to be, okay, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going right and you're going left. You start then controlling your mind. Start finding more in yourself. And then it goes from 40% to a lot further than that. But that's the start of it though. Get to the spot where your mind is saying stop. Wherever that is, you gotta get there first. And then that's when that starts to work for you. You gotta control yourself in that moment.
Your brain likes to gravitate towards what it's most familiar with. The brain loves familiar things, okay? So the more you think about something, the more you place yourself on that beach, in that house, with that amount of money, with that body, the more repetitive it is that you place yourself in those things, those places, and those situations. The more your brain becomes familiar with it, the more it gravitates towards it. You can't think about it once. It's the repetition over and over again. Your brain begins to think, oh, I belong here. We belong here. You actually eventually convince yourself literally that you belong in your dreams by the repetitive and specific thinking and visions of them over and over again. One thing to be conscious of is the RAS doesn't reveal to you necessarily what you need necessarily, because what you need has always been there. What it does is it opens you up to seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting the things that you need in order to attract them into your life. The last part of the steps that I want to share with you is that you've got to control the beginning and the end of your day with your thinking. And so one of the first things you need to do when you wake up, after you do your stretching, your prayer, your meditation, whatever it is to take a 5-minute window and control your thinking, whether you after your meditation, your prayer, whatever it is, but you take a 5-minute window and you visually see your goals and dreams. Picture them as videos in your mind. Picture them as you possessing them and see them written down on a sheet of paper. This will begin to control your mind for the day. And then at the very end of the day, what I do, one of the last things I do after my prayer, when I'm laying in bed at night, is I read through my goals and my dreams, I picture them, and I allow my RAS and my subconscious mind to go to work on them. When I get my sleep, it's going to work on revealing to me, it's playing back the video, believe it or not, of my day in my mind. And it is revealing to me the things that I may have missed in that day that could bring those things into my reality. And it helps me wake up ready to get them as well. So if you'll do that, where you wake up, you go to bed, and when you check your phone, you are going to alter those 9% of your thoughts. These are 3 key steps on changing the way you think. And we know if we can change the way we think, we change the 9% of our thoughts, we change what we obsess about, we begin to possess them. That thought opens up a new space that didn't exist before, just like that chair you're sitting in, and we'll begin to create those things in our lives. Use these 3 steps to change your thinking, and I know if we stack that up over a day, a week, a month, 3 or 4 years, and a decade, the direction of your life is completely different. You see yourself living like this.
You know what you should do? Every time you get a chance to experience first class, you should do it, because it plants a seed. It's like the next time you buy an airplane ticket, just ask for an upgrade. Pay a little extra money to fly first class. What it does is it conditions your mind. Once you get in first class and you see how wide the seats are, and you find out why they shut that curtain, see, because they shut that curtain because they can't let you see what's going on up there. They passing out hot nuts, everybody get a washcloth, they got a menu, you get to decide what you want, all the drinks is free. Once you sit in first class one time, the next time you get on a plane, it's very difficult to walk past them seats. And then your mind starts thinking of ways to get back to first class. And guess what? That's what you start attracting to your life. And you start behaving and producing stuff to get you back into first class. And next thing you know, you attract the thing you need to produce the outcome that you want. Life is all about the law of attraction. That's how you do it.